For the opening round of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup, we're back at the spiritual home of the championship. We're at Monza with an amazing 43-car grid, with battles to look forward to in the overall contest, in the Silver Cup and in Pro-Am. The paddock is full of teams, full of drivers, full of cars and full of enthusiasm for the season ahead. Pirelli back with its tyre and a new sponsor here as well, Fanatec, looking after not only the GT3 cars but supporting GT2. There's GT4 action at Monza this weekend. It is a GT fans' paradise. Mercedes arrives as one of the strongest brands. HRT, the Haupt racing team, running 2 cars, and in the overall contest, Maro Engel is a man to watch.
Well, I think our Mercedes-AMG GT3 is a really good car in all aspects. You know, it's a car that is strong, obviously, in the handling and the cornering. Strong in terms of degradation. Usually, we're not the fastest on top speed, but I think you know we're definitely able to compete. But overall, over a lap, I think it's certainly one of the best cars. It's obviously great to have a new partner on board with BWT and this recognizable pink color. I think the car looks great. As long as it's as fast as it looks, then I think we'll be all right.
BMW hasn't had an overall car, if you like, for quite a while. It's done well in the classes, but this year Hours Motorsport is the team operating 2 within the overall contest. And Timo Glock comes from Formula 1 and the DTM to GT racing.
Really looking forward to it, to be honest. Me and especially Martin Tomczyk, we driving together now for BMW since I think 2013, and we never managed to do one race together in one car. And when we got the driver line, and we were like calling each other, and we're super happy to be on one car and to do the GT races or the long distance races together. So and with Tom, I think, you know, we have a really young guy, motivated guy who is gonna for sure keep us old guys under pressure. So looking forward to it. We were just a bit concerned about the size of Martin and me that we fit in the car, but it works all fine.
The Silver Cup battle is set to be a really fierce one again this year. Garage 59 is represented with the Aston Martin. Valentin Asclot, one of the real star drivers of last year in terms of pure pace, he's back for another season. And the Aston Martin takes on the opposition across those different brands. But Mercedes looks strong here as well. The evocative Mad Panda Motorsport car with its great livery was the champion car, champion team and the champion driver last year, Ezequiel Perez-Compang.
Yeah, last year was a great year. You know, it was our debut year. For sure, we've been working a lot about our mistakes, about everything we could improve. So I think for this year we raised the bar. You know, last year for us was a learning year. There was a learning curve that we had to pay, but yeah, this year we come stronger than ever. I'll be joined by Rick Brookers in sprint and endurance. I think he's an amazing lad. He's been testing with us in the preseason. He did amazing, and yeah, I think the pairing is really strong for Silver.
But then there's the Pro-Am battle to factor in as well. Last year, Alexander West and Chris Goodwin were the champions. They are back with Johnny Adam, multiple British GT champion, in the other Garage 59 Aston Martin. Do they start as the favourites? Quite possibly, and Johnny Adam's pace is undisputed. But Barwell Motorsport is back too, a sole Lamborghini representing the team this year. It's a well-drilled operation that knows how to win races, how to win championships, and that is going to be a fascinating car to watch over the course of the year. It's worth reminding ourselves of just the different brands represented across the GT World Challenge. Don't forget, there's racing in Europe, in Asia, in North America and in Australia this year. So you've got Audi, you've got BMW, there is Ferrari taking on Lamborghini, McLaren represented, Mercedes-AMG, and of course, no GT grid is complete without Porsche. They are the brands that are scoring points across the globe in the GT World Challenge. We've had races already in Australia and in America, and that means that Mercedes currently tops the points on 794, chased hard by Lamborghini, then Audi and Porsche coming up fast. We're set for a great opening race here in Europe. And the championship kind of got underway yesterday because we had the first ever Fanatec GT Esports Pro Series race. And the net result of that was that the top 3 drivers bring points to their real-world teams. So the teams have already scored, courtesy of the efforts of the race drivers yesterday. So evenly matched were Arthur Rougier and Daniel Juncadella that they had the same qualifying time. They locked out the front row of the grid and they battled for the hour of the race. Matt Campbell was busy squabbling with Kelvin van der Linde for 6th and 7th positions. Porsche going through. 24 drivers in total in the Fanatec arena, all studies of concentration. Ben Barnicoat was involved in an incident or two, got a penalty or two as well. Nicholas Nielsen raced hard in the Ferrari. He got himself up into 3rd place in the end of the 1 hour race. Nicholas Nielsen having driven really strongly. But it turned out to be a great fight all the way through between Junqueira and Arthur Rougier. Reichi Tomita was another quick driver in the Audi number 31, and he would be a class winner as well, bringing points for WRT into the championship. But he lost 3rd place overall late race, as through went Nielsen up on the inside line. Tomita fought back as best he could though, the two brushing against one another as they got into the Rogier chicane. Up front though, it was this great fight for honours between Daniel Junqueira and Arthur Rougier. Kelvin van der Linde, however, was also still pressing on hard, desperately trying to haul his WRT Audi back up the order. There had been a number of incidents early in the race that had accounted for 1 or 2 of the star names, but Arthur Rougier, having led, lost out to Daniel Junqueira, but then was able to pounce once more and come through to score a race win, and in the final laps as well was able to stretch the margin to extend that gap over Daniel Junqueira. Arthur Rougier for Emile Frey Racing, winning the very first Fanatec Esports GT Pro Series race, and he was all smiles. This is the view from out of the Davide Rigon Ferrari that lines up on the 2nd row of the grid, the car that he shares with Antonio Fuoco and Callum Eilert. Pole position is Mirko Bortolotti. Alongside him is Raffaele Marciello. 2 of the top Italian GT drivers lining up toe-to-toe on the front row of the grid. It's a 3-hour race. It is Monza. It is the opening round of Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup. And it is go, because the cars accelerate up towards the line. The lights will blink green in a moment to get the race underway now, and a good getaway by Bortolotti. Then the Lamborghini just gets the advantage as they make the run down towards the Rettifilio for the first time, but on the outside line Raffaele Marciello tries to stay with him. Can he outdo the Lamborghini? He can't. Bortolotti is ahead, switches across, takes the line for the corner. 2nd is Marciello, and do they all get through safely? So far so good. This is Matt Campbell's view. He could not be closer to the back of Rigon. To his left is Giacomo Altwe, but it is Mirko Bortolotti who leads, and that, by Monza standards, John, was a good clean start.
That was an excellent start by everybody. They all got more or less into and out of turns 1 and 2 the first chicane. Now they're charged onto the 2nd chicane. Cars fanning out right to left. I mean, there's no space whatsoever. Giacomo Alte, who had a bit of a flyer off the line, got held up marginally in that first chicane, trying to battle his way through, almost 3 wide, coming into Lesmo 1.
So Altway delayed, but fighting back, and Bortolotti is the man in charge then. He leads the way as the cars work up through the Lesmo bends for the first time. Everybody looking for track position, trying to gain, trying not to get in stride, of course, and compromise their race right from the start. The start is under investigation, however, and as the cars accelerate their way now up into the Variante Ascari, it is Mirko Bortolotti who holds sway at the moment. 2nd is then Jules Gounon. Is Raffaele Marciello, I should say, in the car that Gounon and Danny Junqueira will share with him. Danny Junqueira's real world qualifying time less than a 10th slower than his esports pole time last night, can you believe? That is how realistic the sim racing element is. But right now it's all eyes on the real world as Matt Campbell focuses on the back of Davide Rigon's Ferrari. Out of the Parabolica, end of the lap. Mirko Bortolotti leads at the end of lap 1. Quick look at the start, and you see one car there very slow. Oh, that was Mauro Engel, wasn't it, who just did not seem to get away. The car went backwards rather than forwards, so Mauro Engel, for whatever reason, a very, very slow start, almost like it had the pit lane speed limit on, but you can see how many places the car gave away. That's one for Gemma possibly to investigate on the pit stops or earlier, if she gets a chance to go and talk to the Haupt Racing team. But Mauro Engel in stride, and that was Ben Barnicoat in the gravel, so that's why he ended up in the pit lane. So Ben Barnicoat, the first casualty, with a little bit of a hip and shoulder forcing him out wide. This is the view from on board with Davide Rigon coming down towards the first chicane. Bortolotti leads around the outside. Charles Weerts, that was close, bit of leaning going on, but Rigon just got out of the way, got out of the chicane in 4th place. Race carries on for him, but in the space of what, about a minute, 2 minutes at most, this has got properly wet and horrible. This section of the circuit deceiving you, looking almost not too bad. In the background, look, Rigon versus Weerts, and Charles Weerts is back ahead. Davide Rigon was ahead when they went over the timing line as Marciello tries one side and then the other. Now, do either of these commit? Well, Marciello commits to the outside line. I was about to ask for the pit lane commitment, but it's the outside line. Marciello goes for the race lead, and as they come off the corner, the car's all sideways. He discovers how wet it is. Another lap is completed. They stay out. They do not come in for wets, and it's going to be interesting to monitor their lap times relative to Altway, who is on wets when he's got them up to temperature.
Both drivers, and a big shot coming out of the Ascari. One of the Mercedes has gone nose front into the barrier on the exit, and that will be certainly a full course yellow immediately.
It's Rob Card.
Is this an opportunity for the lead two cars into the pit lane? And the lead will be taken over, I believe. And looking at the Charles Vetz, I can't quite see if he made it into the pit lane or not. Has he followed in? Yes, he has followed in. So who will be the lead car now that third place Charles Vetz, Davide Rigon? Can't see who else there is. There's not anybody coming.
Well, Davide Rigon next in the line has already been in. So has Matt Campbell. Mauro Engel has not been in, I don't think. So yeah, Mauro Engel has stayed out thus far. However, let's see how it blends back in when the cars come through. Of course, if we do end up with the safety cars, we predict they'll all bunch up. And is there a change? Because the Mercedes blasts away and down the pit road goes 63. So has that given ACA ASP the advantage? Yes, it has. The Mercedes, look, he's going to get out ahead. So because these are non-mandatory pit stops, these are just tyre stops. These aren't the regulation stops, as it were. That quickly to put the tyres on allows the Mercedes to jump ahead. The lights are out on top of the safety car, so we're going to go racing. Raffaele Marciello, as the race leader, bunches them all up, ready for the restart. The one to watch is the Audi second, relative to the Mercedes, but then keep an eye on the pink and blue and white Mercedes of Mauro Engel that has been given a get-out-of-jail-free card, in a sense, after these pit stops. It's there in third place, and Mauro Engel will be on his toes to try to attack as they come off the parabolica. Ben Barnicoat's McLaren almost snaps away from him, and is he heading for the pit lane again? Let's see. Yes, he is. So Ben Barnicoat for the pits once more as the leaders come through. So we are back up and running, and as the cars accelerate then now, down towards the Rettifilio, Marciello, Wirtz, Engel, then it is Gachet in fourth, Tunjo is fifth, sixth is in Icon, and this is the view as on board you go with Davide Rigon in the 71 Ferrari. Wirtz and Engel side by side, and they touch. Mauro Engel muscles his way through, but how much damage will they have picked up? He's picked up a place, rightly or wrongly. That was a bit physical.
It was, and he might argue that I was being lent upon by the 32 Audi. I could go nowhere. He was pushing me all the time. So he took the route that was only available to him, in his opinion. Now, whether he'll pull over, let the Audi go through, and I'm sure Charles Vetz will feel he ought to give that position up. And I think that is the case, that Mauro Engel has decided that I did gain an advantage, albeit that I was being lent upon. But now he's all over the back of Charles Vetz, once again looking to find a way around the second place Audi. Only thing he's getting is a windscreen full of the spray coming off the back of the 32 Audi.
But
I mean, Vetz needs to be careful. You can't push that hard, nearly pushing the Mercedes off the racetrack. He got away with it in the first chicane. Now he's going to try and make the move on the outside as they come out of the Lesmo. But look, side by side, all the way down the hill, under the bridge, up into the Ascari chicane. Who's going to be the late breaker of these two? Mauro Engel is on the inside, and he's consolidated that second place.
Brilliant racing. Mauro Engel then is second. They've traded the place for about a third of a lap. Engel then is ahead of Charles Wirtz, and now that he's finally made that stick, he's getting away a little bit. But right now, Christian Engelhardt here under huge pressure from Davide Rigon. So this is for fifth and sixth places now. Oscar Tunjo is the one that's dropped back into seventh. In eighth place, Coen Ledegaard, staying with Ferrari, having had that win at Paul Ricard at the back end of last year. So with 2 hours and 19 minutes on the clock, Marciello getting away up front. Now, on board with Davide Rigon down to the parabolica. Can he make a move here, John?
He has made a move. Whether it's going to be the move is a moot point, because the long way around you may be able to carry more speed, but it's whether the acceleration that the Porsche has off the Tamburello, parabolica. Now again, look at the squeeze going on. Davide Rigon moving across to try and preclude the Porsche, which appears to have actually marginally better top speed as they come down into the braking zone. So the Porsche's on the inside. Davide Rigon will have to be a bit careful because, well, he's used I don't think he's going to have to give that position up, but it'll be interesting to see whether that is a call from the race director that was a position defended or gained by using the inside of the corner, and Engelhardt will be disappointed.
The leader is in, Marciello down the pit lane. So can Marciello hand over and 88 get out ahead of the number 4 Mercedes? That's the question.
Well, Jules Gougnot or Juncadella will be in the car. I suspect it'll be Danny Juncadella in that middle stint as the Lamborghini likewise comes in. So they were just about out of time and also out of fuel, I should imagine. They've gone over an hour and 5 minutes. Ferrari looks slow on the exit on the right-hand side of your screen, coming down out of Ascari chicane.
Yes, it does. It's a Ferrari with a problem. You're right. Now there is Lukas Stolz. Is he going to be able to jump ahead here? Let's see. Comes off the parabolica. I think the answer is going to be yes, isn't it? Because he's heading up now towards the completion of the lap. Remember that you've got to be coupled to the fueling for 42 seconds, and the drive through the pit lane is effectively 30 seconds. So add those two bits together, that's your pit stop, and yes, it's cost them the lead. So through there goes number 4 Mercedes, and who else goes through? Let's keep an eye to where, for example, number 32 Audi might be. They're back into the race, goes 88. Danny Juncadella at the wheel of it, but for my money, that's going to put now Stolz into the lead and Kelvin van der Linde up into second place in Audi number 32.
And Kelvin van der Linde, oh dear me, Juncadella on your outlap at the first chicane, you get it all wrong. That was not something the team had factored in. But I will be watching really Kelvin van der Linde, who is only, 2.3 seconds behind what is going to be effectively the race leader, the number 4 HTP Mercedes Lukas Stolz. There is the Mercedes, and there is the 32, and that looks like it's run down already a part of that 2.3 second disadvantage. So there is effectively first and second place when the whole of the entire round of first pit stops slides over the curb on the exit of the Lesmo 2. Kelvin van der Linde up for the charge. And there's a Lamborghini, and where's a second chicane, I think. So, well,
yes,
he's got it going. He's fired it up. Let's hope he doesn't spin as he rejoins the racetrack, and hope he's careful that there will be cars coming. He's managed to do it reasonably well, but look how close Kelvin van der Linde has gotten to the back of the number 4 Mercedes as we ride on board with Kelvin van der Linde. Runs wide over the slippery part of the curb on the exit of Lesmo 1. A car directly ahead of the number 4 Mercedes. So with that step sideways, well, it is that Lamborghini that we saw just regain race track. So the battle for the lead between the Mercedes and the Audi, 1 second exactly as they came across the line at the end of lap 29.
That was Kiko Galbiati in the Lamborghini having the spin, by the way, but it got going as you saw as Kelvin van der Linde then hustles on behind Lukas Stolz. This effectively is for the race lead. As I say, the two further up the road have got a pit stop due, so this is the real battle for race honours at the moment, the race lead, with an hour and 48 on the clock in this 3-hour season opener from Monza. Kelvin van der Linde is going to get stuck behind the VAT marker coming down to the parabolica. Lukas Stolz has gone through. Which way does van der Linde go? This is not a nice situation for him, is it? That's the car that spun half a lap back, and now he commits to the outside job.
Oh, and Kelvin van der Linde he was almost not necessarily forced, but found himself wrong position. The Lamborghini, look how much it's managed to regain that bit of track position. So Kelvin van der Linde, whether there will be an observation on the fact he was completely off the racetrack, he'll certainly get a notification, I'm sure. But again, he's got the frustration of finding a way around a car that had spun almost 1 lap ago at the second chicane, now caught between the battle for the lead of this race. Now he stays over on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Maybe the team have said to get out of the way. You're interfering with the battle for the race lead.
And so there, Kelvin van der Linde now third. He's 87, the Silver Cup leading Thomas Drouet. And as Karim Ogier has pitted, so there's only now Hiroshi Hamaguchi's Lamborghini that is yet to serve its first mandatory stop. Of course, we know that Hamaguchi goes well in the wet because he won the FIA Motorsport Games GT race in the wet. And that's van der Linde with a puncture. Second place car, yes, the tyre has exploded.
Left rear has blown coming up into the Ascari chicane. Rubber, and you can hear the car grinding its way back So is that pressure on the wet weather tyres in a drying racetrack, or is there a look? The damage is not just to the left rear, but left rear bodywork will need to be attended to. Kelvin van der Linde suddenly caught by a rear tyre, very rapid deflation, and now creeping back without any trying to do further damage to the back of the number 32 Audi. Wow, could you write a script like this?
Out of nowhere, bang, suddenly a puncture, and again, intrigued to know why. I'm sure so too is WRT, whether he ran over something or whether it was a failure. Either way, it has given this car that looked to be nowhere earlier on after a slow start. Lukas Stolz has now got a pretty big lead of 13 seconds over Thomas Drouet. And look at this, the car is falling apart around it. Look at the bodywork being ripped off it, John.
I know, that's what I was afraid would happen. Kelvin van der Linde pulls across to the right-hand side of the racetrack to get off the racing line, but shredding bits of carbon fibre, rubber, goodness knows what other mechanical parts. I mean, what a mess.
And look at the racetrack.
And
I mean,
all
it's
because
like
of a...
the circuit's
Well,
like
there you look at it. I mean, what a mess.
Absolutely. Is he going to park it? He's got that far, but it's still quite a journey to the pit lane. But I was going to say that the straight is a bit like an auto test now. There are things to slalom around, bits of car, bits of tyre. That's it. That's day done, isn't it? That's the game over. And look where it starts. I mean, you've got a third of a lap of debris.
Full course yellow in 20 seconds.
So full course yellow for the debris.
One of the problems is the inner guard in these cars. That's what's been... That's...
5,
And
4,
the Porsche likewise.
3, 2, 1, full course yellow now.
Another puncture, and it's 56 Porsche this time, limping round.
Safety car, lights off.
So it is Stolz in the lead, and then look for Drouet second, Junqueira is third, and you've got 3 back markers between the leader and then the second, third, fourth fight.
Green flag, green flag.
Racing again, out of the Parabolica. 1 hour, 28 minutes comes on the clock, and it is go. So the back markers need to try and dart out of the way if they can. But Lukas Stolz is away and gone into the pit lane. Goes the McLaren with, at the wheel of it, Ollie Wilkinson. And so the Mercedes pour over the line, and Drouet comes under attack as now Danny Junqueira comes up alongside him. Junqueira's on the outside line, and look, Drouet has been stuck in the traffic there behind the SPS car. So Junqueira goes second as long as he can clear the back marker, which he does. Drouet is third, and then the Porsche Engelhardt fourth. That car also looking for track position.
Yes, and good driving by all 4 cars. They could have tripped over one another, but they didn't in difficult conditions. But again, you can see there's still a massive amount of spray coming off the cars. Again, some of them running wide around Curva Grande to keep that, particularly that left rear tyre, as good as possible. But you still have got to take your line into these chicanes, so you're coming back onto maybe the drive part of the track. Just be careful, possibly, in the way that you apply your throttle. Don't put in massive amounts of power. Just get the car rolling. Avoid potentially, a lot of these cars have got ABS and traction control. Most drivers prefer to dial the traction control out. There's one of the slick tired cars, the 71 Ferrari, having to be very tippy-toe around Lesmo 1.
Yeah, Callum being hung out to dry on the outside there as he was struggling for traction. Although 54 in 4th place is still showing Christian Engelhardt as the driver. Just to clarify, Matteo Cairoli did take over at the 1 hour mark, so it's a transponder glitch, but it is Matteo Cairoli rather than Engelhardt in 4th place, just to clarify. And he's battling with now Drouet, who's lost out to Junqueira. Ezequiel Perez Companc in the meantime in the Mad Panda Mercedes from the pit lane, last away, 13th. That car with its new engine is going great guns here, keeping out of trouble, and a great battle going on ahead. Side by side, look, John.
Yes, middle of the road, right-hand side coming down into Parabolica as we go back to the Porsche as it exits right on the gearbox of the Mercedes, so trying to line that car up. And Porsche have shown good straight-line performance, but can he sweep from behind? He's going to go down the left-hand side of the racetrack to the drivers. It's the bumpier part. You can see those bumps on the racing line. Drivers pretty much staying off them, so cleanly executed pass. Good job indeed.
So Matteo Cairoli, the Italian driver for Dynamic Motorsports, which remember won 3 years ago in the wet round here, going strongly as the car pushes on. So you've got now Stolz ahead of Junqueira, but of course that big lead that the Haupt Racing team Mercedes have built up, scotched by the safety car. 3 seconds it is, and Junqueira is charging and not yet being able to bring it down in sectors, but he is on a mission, doing his level best to go after the race leader as this huge field of cars pours into the chicane. Finlay Hutchison there gets squeezed by Benjamin Haites up the escape road. Up the curb goes Benji Goethe in the Gulf livery car, and Ezequiel Perez Companc has got cars all around him as he powers out of the chicane. And there's the leading car, the Puncture. Luca Stolz, Puncture through and past him goes Junqueira. It's changed again.
And he's still got more or less half of the racetrack to complete before he can get in to the pit lane to get that left rear. Oh dear, I mean, every team manager in the pit lane, if they're not instructing their drivers to slow down through all the right-hand corners to consolidate, or else come in and put on a set of slicks. Race leader is now the Porsche.
Race leader is Junqueira. Porsche is about to go for the race lead. 163's got a Puncture. 163. Yeah, Norbert Siedler with a Puncture as well. And there is Matteo Cairoli, who's going to go through on the inside. So that now is what John was predicting. The Porsche takes over the lead. Good past that, but you could see the Porsche had more traction than did the Mercedes that was slithering out wide.
Well, the trouble is the tyres, everybody's wet with their tyres now are at the point of just, they've got no more bike grip. Is that one of the Iron Lynx Ferraris making his way through, going around? Look, another Lamborghini's blown that's left rear as well, shredding bodywork. What is that? Rear wing has come off. There is the I mean, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to stop saying things you're not meant to say on television.
But John, that other Emil Frey Lambo that's just lost its rear wing, is that not number 14 that was on slicks? So maybe that's run over something.
I'm not sure.
Let's just double.
I'm losing track of who's doing what.
Yes, great. Well, try and work out what's going on next. The pit lane is now becoming very busy because people are saying enough is enough is enough. But this is the car that leads the way. Matteo Cairoli, now what is in store for him? Because they've been pushing. His lap times have been really good, lapping in the 58s to get himself into the lead. Matteo Cairoli ahead of Danny Junqueira. What are they looking at? Another 11 minutes or so of nursemaiding these tyres. Christopher Mies has just come into the pits from fourth, and there's a shredded wet on Stolz's Mercedes. Look at that, but he's going on to slicks now.
The good news is that there's no residual damage to the rear of the car. The bodywork looks to be intact, and to some degree that's just sod's law. Some drivers had a more severe rear blowout than the number 4 Mercedes, and that's consequently taken out. In the case of the Lamborghini, not only took out the rear bodywork, but took out the rear wing as well.
Now this is building up for honours in the Silver Cup, because Thomas Drouet has been reeled in, look, by Michael Grenier. So they're fighting for third overall, but the lead of Silver Cup. Drouet from Grenier, and Michael Grenier squeezes to the inside line, can't do it, thinks about the outside line. The outside at the Curva Grande translates into the inside line for the Rogier chicane, but that gets covered off by Thomas Drouet as they come up towards the chicane now. So Grenier doing a good job here. He's closed in onto the class leader. Where does he make his move, John?
Well, he's going to try it coming out of the second chicane. Can he get alongside and take away the entry into Lesmo 1? He does. And that was a good exit from the second chicane. Gave him track position. He had a better drive, and now having to cover off the entry into Lesmo 2. And if he exits that cleanly and successfully, job accomplished.
Absolutely right. So he storms on, but for the moment, Michael Grenier then in third place as the teams get ready, and that is for the leading car. So with an hour and 2 minutes to go, it is still Matteo Cairoli leading the way, and still to come in. There you've got Callum Eilert working his way through and going ahead of Thomas Drouet, so that puts him up into fourth place now, and the Bentley rejoins. So 54 will do at least one more lap and then give way for Klaus Bachler to bring the car to the end. Junqueira is second, 6.5 seconds back. Slick's the way to go, no question about it. And what's going on for third place? Well, it was Michael Grenier. He is there, look, hung out to dry a little bit in the traffic in 57. And he's trying to wriggle his way through as the Dynamic Motorsport team gets set. Look at number 63, Lamborghini, suddenly developing pace as it tries to squeeze back on that lap. So through goes Andrea Caldarelli now with nothing to lose, just go, go, go. and Grenier is being reeled in by Callum Eilert. It was 1.8 seconds at the start of the lap. You're on board with Eilert now, and the flying Ferrari is closing onto the back of the Mercedes there. So for third and fourth, they're nose to tail. Grenier is leading in silver. Eilert's an overall car, but the Ferrari is about to make a move against the Mercedes, which is busy battling with the Lamborghini anyway. Grenier goes back ahead of the Lamborghini, and there is Callum Eilert looking to try to make the move, but the back marker's slightly impeding things. How often can you say Andrea Caldarelli is a back marker? But in this very quirky race, John, that's the adjective.
Eilert got the rear wheel on the curb on the inside of Lesmo too, but he's coming to the conclusion of his stint. He doesn't need to take an unnecessary risk to find a way past Andrea Caldarelli, who may or may not opt to be cooperative. I mean, Caldarelli's had the most disappointing day, I suppose you could imagine, in his whole the team's career, the Orange One FFF Racing team's career, with the car stopping so early, having to do reset, then finally being able to get back out on track. As we ride on board, we come down into Parabolica, and Callum Eilert, well, there's not much more there, is the lead Porsche. Just coming up to the end of the second hour and still staying on track, so maybe they're going to keep Matteo Caroli out as long as possible as Callum Eilert gets the run on the Lamborghini. Now, Andrea Caldarelli, I would hope, will be assisting, because there's nothing for him to gain in doing so. And this is a car that's potentially, we said it earlier, Andrea, what are you doing? You've compromised now Callum Eilert by doing that. I don't understand that. Now he's going to come out ahead of the Ferrari once again. I don't know, it looks to me like a rush of blood to parts of the head that don't need it.
That's Michael Grenier in, and he is, of course, fighting for silver honours. Callum Eilert's up in a third place overall, just to finish that point, after a really good stint. So you see the refuelling, that's 42 seconds of refuelling. There's the tyre change that can go on at the same time, but if it carries on longer, then obviously you're compromising yourself. And Eilert has caught back up to Caldarelli, but the lapped Lamborghini is proving a pesky obstacle for him here. So in comes the Porsche. That means that for the moment, Daniel Juncadella will lead the way, but he's got a pit stop due, so it will revert back after the stops as on go the slicks then. So we've got a new race leader on the road. Mercedes leads. Mercedes, the most represented brand on the grid, as the Porsche gets set to go. So the tyre bit is done. Now you've got to wait for that refuelling, or in fact the tyres on one side are done. It's one wheel for the mechanic, remember, this year. That 42 seconds of the refuelling is the minimum. That goes on as well.
Drive through to car 7. Drive through to car 7. Overtaking under safety car procedure.
Right, Marvin Deans gets a drive-through for overtaking under the safety car, and Johnny Adam now leads in Pro-Am, while Adrian Amstutz was lawn mowing at the chicane. The Aston Martin has come through, so Garage 59 and the Aston Martin takes over the lead of the class out of all of that, and it's the Dominic Baumann Mercedes just up the road, but Johnny Adam, when it matters, John, is there at the front of the class.
Well, what the Garage 59 team realises, this race is not about who leads in the first hour in our category or the second hour. It's about being in position, doing those. There he goes, no, and a lovely little pass. Phil Keane used a good drive off Lesmo 1, put himself in position. The Amstadt found himself compromised on the entry to Lesmo 2, and Phil Keane sails through and is on his way.
So Phil Keane up into second, so that's in the Pro-Am fight. So British GT revisited, Keane versus Adam. It's happened many, many times. They're going through Vincent Abril. 20th is the number 4 Mercedes. We've not really seen that car for a while, but after its puncture that cost it the lead, so it has fallen way, way back into 20th spot overall. Phil Keane there second in the Pro-Am competition, going after Johnny Adam as they turn now through the Parabolica. Confirmation, by the way, the Mad Panda Mercedes out with an electrical issue, and over the timing line has gone then the lead fight. So Ricardo Feller, class leader, remember, in silver, but he would dearly love, I suspect, to be second overall. Yes, he wants to win the class, but he also wants the best race result that he can get out of all of this. Otherwise, he'd just wait for Oko by, I guess, and keep out of trouble. He's not prepared to do that, and he's still attacking. So Ricardo Feller maybe in discussion with the team about what do I do? Do I go for the class win or do I go for an overall result? But right now he's trying to go for both, isn't he? Because he's third, an overall podium if he can do it, but the Silver Cup win would be a great result.
Silver Cup win is the priority. The podium, third overall, would be the bonus. And he's fully entitled and quite rightly battling for that second place, but runs wide on the exit of Ascari. Again, an opportunity, just a tiny opportunity goes towards Fuoco, but again, not able to get on terms, can't get close enough under brakes. Watch what happens on the entry into Parabolica. The Mercedes enters first, the Lamborghini second. Nothing lost, nothing really gained. Look inside the Ferrari. So there are the dancing feet of Antonio Fuoco. And the way it's interesting, he modulates the brake pedal a little bit between the right, the left. Then he moves over to the footrest. That's the third pedal to the left. Well, he hasn't even bothered to do that. Throttle pedal flat to the floor. And watch to see if there's any movement on the steering column as he comes through Curva Grande. The gap has closed. It's now 3.5 seconds. First to second with 8 minutes remaining.
Is this battler driving within himself, looking after everything? The sector times aren't suggesting that Gunon is upping his pace. It's more that Battler is dropping his pace, and there you can see Antonio Fuoco on the screen in terms of what the car is up to on the inset, what his feet are up to.
Well, I'll tell you what, the brake pedal movement that he's using is much, much more than I would imagine would be normal. I think he's got maybe a marginal problem with his brakes, that the brakes are maybe getting very warm. That's a very long stroke in the brake pedal, not something that's going to give you any confidence when you come into a braking zone to think that the car's going to slow you down. I just wonder, is that the problem? Just running so long behind another competitive car, just tipping the brake temperatures over the top. That would not be a comfortable position, but that is the case.
Good point, Matt. So as you see, Jules Gunon having to go defensive now, trying to break the slipstream effect that he's offering to Ricardo Feller. Antonio Fuoco, brake problems or no, he's closing a little bit as they come into the Parabolica. And Gunon, of course, as John says, closer last time, 3.5 seconds adrift of Klaus Bachler. Is that going to be a pattern, or is the gap going to widen now that he's got to go defensive? 3.5 it was, and this time 3.5 still. The last lap was just a few hundreds quicker from Gunon than it was from Bachler. There, third, Feller thinks about the outside line. Fuoco right there behind in fourth place. So second, third and fourth virtually together now.
Whoa. Oh, Vincent April made an error coming in the braking zone in the number 4 HTP Mercedes, and wasn't pretty, but he got away with it.
He did, delays himself, and that's in 13th place, that car, after its travails from earlier on. Now look at this, the margin between Fuoco and Feller is less than it is between Feller and Gunon, so the Mercedes has just escaped by a couple of lengths, and possibly for the first time in many laps, Feller is having to think about what's going on behind him, because that's a real bid coming now for third place from Antonio Fuoco as they come across the timing line once more. 5 minutes and change are on the clock then. Lap times in the 1:49s at the moment, as here Fuoco arrives at the Rettifilo chicane and almost gets into the back of the Lamborghini, and he's up the escape road.
Yes, and he's going to have to concede. I think both cars, second and third place cars, will clear. There they go. So it just literally outbraked himself, or maybe that's a component of the observations I made a few laps ago. He's pushing the brake pedal. It looks to me like it's going full stroke, and the car's still not slowing down sufficiently to avoid having to take the run down the escape road.
So here it is again, John.
I mean, wow, how did he get away with that? How did Feller get away with it? That could have been the typical snooker ball into the pocket, but the pocket would have been the gravel trap.
So there the cars turn through, and although the leader is away, second, third and fourth still together. So Gunon, Feller, Fuoco, through they turn. Has got the run to the Parabolica, and then effectively one more lap at the end of this. So they're about to start the last lap of the race, and Klaus Bachler was in the first sector being caught, in the second sector was being caught. So it's going to be a narrow victory, I suspect, but he's making sure he gets to the end.
I think Feller maybe made a marginal error just on the entry into Parabolica. They had to turn away from the apex, but regardless of that, his position has remained constant more or less throughout his stint. Jules Gunon has consolidated all the way through, driven strongly and well, and has dealt with that threat and challenge from the Lamborghini. Ferrari coming back, and again Fuoco just about managing to turn away from the rear of the Ferrari. So he loses when he makes that, maybe that late brake, or the brake is not efficient enough. As we see the 54 Dynamic Motorsport Porsche team preparing to go on the pit wall to cheer on this final lap. 7-8 more corners to go. The checkered flag.
Well, it's been a really impressive run. We've said it already about how well the team has operated and how well the setup worked, if you like, in that middle stint where on the wet they were still pushing and not having the same tyre-related issues that other teams were. Antonio Fuoco has gone quicker still, can you believe? So another fastest lap, a 48.322 at the end of 78 laps of the race. But little good has it done him, because he still can't get up and past the Lamborghini ahead. But Fuoco has been one of the stars of the weekend, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and he's going to be a star of the future. Look forward to seeing him throughout the season and seeing where this Iron Lynx, and I wonder where the name Iron Lynx originated from, but nevertheless, great to see Ferrari running competitively at the sharp end for a podium. Now look at Jules Gounon all over the racetrack. Doesn't really need to do that because the Lamborghini wasn't a threat to him, but well, you know, when you're in the heat of a battle on the final lap, sometimes everything is open and everything is accepted.
Checkered flag at Monza. Porsche wins for the second event in a row at Monza, and it is the same team, Dynamic Motorsport, that wins in 2021 as it did in 2019. Klaus Bachler, along with Mathieu Cairoli and Christian Engelhardt, victorious in the opening round of Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup. Jules Gounon takes second, Riccardo Fella takes third. Silver Cup win as well. Antonio Fuoco fourth ahead of Alessandro Pierguidi, and then James Poole comes home in sixth place. Now what's going on a bit further back for Pro-Am is that Johnny Adam is on target for a win, and he's quite a long way clear in the end of Phil Keane. So there is the Garage 59 Aston Martin. Johnny Adam turns into the Parabolica now, turns his way through the corner and accelerates up towards the timing line. It's going to be a 14th place overall finish and a class win for Johnny Adam, Chris Goodwin and Alexander West. The Silver Cup, Riccardo Fella along with the Swiss driver Alex Fontana and Rolf Eichen, victorious are there. Christian Engelhardt, Mathieu Cairoli and Klaus Bachler, the winners overall in a fascinating race. High drama with the weather, with the tyres, and that real cat and mouse battle at the end involving Gounon, Fella and Fuoco. Now let's just quickly do the results. We'll ponder more in a moment. Mathieu Cairoli, Klaus Bachler, Christian Engelhardt, the winners then from Raffaele Marciello, Danny Juncadella and Jules Gounon taking second, and then Alex Fontana, Rolf Eichen and Riccardo Fella coming home in third place. Fourth going the way of Antonio Fuoco along with Davide Rigon and Callum Eilert. Fifth, Alessandro Pierguidi, Nicholas Nielsen and the third driver of the Ferrari who had to cope with the weather at the start, Coram Ledegar. And in sixth place for second in silver, James Poole, Benji Goethe and Stuart Hall. That is the car of the day. John, Porsche triumphs.
Matteo, Christian will just be joined shortly, of course, by Klaus, but a fantastic result. You did it here in 2019 and back here again this year. Well done.
Thank you very much. Unbelievable. I mean, we did not expect this win, but I mean, to win here in my home race is just amazing. I have to thank the team, my teammates. They did a brilliant job all the weekend. Even if the car was a bit tricky to drive, we managed to get this win, so I'm just super happy and I have no words to describe this moment.
So, championship-wise, in the overall contest, Klaus Bachler, Christian Engelhardt, Mathieu Cairoli all on 25 points, 18 for the second team of Jules Gounon, Daniel Juncadella and Raffaele Marciello. Riccardo Fella, Rolf Eichen and Alex Fontana take overall points ahead of Davide Rigon, Callum Eilert and Antonio Fuoco, with Nicholas Nielsen, Coram Ledegar and Alessandro Pierguidi, the reigning champion, don't forget, fifth at the end of today. Thanks for your company from Gemma Scott in the pit lane, David Addison and John Watson. Goodbye from Monza.